Hello, everybody out there on YouTube. We are the Middle-Aged Guys, and we're going to continue our reviews of the episodes of Young Justice, going from the first season all the way through the second, and then hopefully into the third, when the third season, Outsiders, finally shows up on the DC Direct Digital Service. Let's get the introductions out of the way. I'm the Reverend.
The Theme here.
And I'm Grey Mouse 1.
The seventh episode is entitled Denial, and it first aired out on February 18th, 2011. Okay, we're going to handle this just like the other ones, just to go ahead and cover all of the bases. After a short synopsis, we're going to have 3 talking points: what we liked, what we didn't like, or what we would change if we had the choice. And like I said, at the end of every one, the third talking point is going to be, now that we've seen these episodes multiple times, what have we noticed that serves as a hint or a setup for something that happens in the future, either storyline arc or an episode. Okay, so let me get the quick synopsis out of the way. All right. The episode opens up with Nelson Kent, who we have no idea who he is right now, but we just see an old man walk into a psychic shop. He wants to go ahead and talk to his dead wife. Okay, after exposing the psychic as a charlatan, you know, who's using wind machines and jacks under the table, do all the special spells and everything, Nelson Kent gets kidnapped by Abracadabra. Okay. Well, Nelson Kent is also a good friend of the Justice League because he's a member of the Justice Society, who's a precursor of them. So when Red Tornado is on his way to actually go ahead and check up on Nelson Kent, the team intercept him and they ask him, hey, you have a mission for us? And his canned response is, missions are the Batman's responsibility. All right? But they're like, well, you know, if we can help, you know, you can tell us. And then he explains the situation that Nelson Kent, who is the protector of the Helmet of Fate, has been missing for over 23 days. And so what they do is that, on suggestion of the Red Tornado, they go out to see Nelson Kent at the Tower of Fate. Turns out, though, that this particular episode is very revelatory about certain characters' beliefs and the things that they choose not to believe in, and also very revelatory of the things that they choose to act like they believe in order to get laid. All right. So yes, again, this particular episode it hinges upon Wally West Kid Flash. All right. And basically what happens is that they go through the episode and they end up at the Tower of Fate. But Kid Flash is he's committed that everything can be explained by science. Multiple members of the team are committed to saying no magic exists. As they've said in other Warner Brothers animated series, I believe it was the Flash saying to Green Lantern in one of the Justice League episodes, "Hey, look, we have a Martian and a demigod on speed dial. You're telling me that magic doesn't exist?" All right. So they pretty much frame it like that. And then throughout their adventures in the tower, what happens is that they find out that Nelson Kent, he was kidnapped by Abracadabra, was being held hostage by both Abracadabra and Clarion, the Witch Boy. They're trying to go ahead and get a hold of the Helmet of Fate, because that would then give them the powers of Dr. Fate. Well, long story short, Wally West, Kid Flash, gets separated from the team with Nelson Kent, and during the battle with Clarion, Nelson Kent gets struck down. He pretty much dies.
He dies.
Kid Flash is left there with the Helmet of Fate with no choice but to put it on. The moment that he puts it on, though, Nabu, the Lord of Order, takes over his body, and then Dr. Fate is once again on the earthly plane to go ahead and do battle with Clarion, the Witch Boy. After a long battle, Dr. Fate is able to defeat Clarion, the Witch Boy, but he isn't willing to go ahead and relinquish his hold on Wally West's body, on Kid Flash's body. Both Nelson Kent and Kid Flash convince him to go ahead and relinquish control. They get a hold of the Helmet of Fate, and they return to Mount Justice, being able to explain, okay, this is what happens, this is what has happened to Nelson Kent, and we're protecting the Helmet of Fate now. Okay? At the very end, it's very telling because, you know, Wally kind of falls into his old tropes to go ahead and explain what happened to him while he was wearing the helmet, and it pretty much ends right there. I think that covers everything, right?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. We're going to go into more detail with our particular talking points. So I'm going to open up the floor first talking point that we have, just like every other review that we've done so far, what did you like about the episode?
The fact that they mentioned the precursor to the Justice League.
The Justice Society, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people do not know or do not understand that before the Justice League, there were more heroes, and there were the older heroes. I like the fact that they incorporated Dr. Fate differently than what they have been doing for a long period of time, whether it be TV series or other animation. Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool. And it was more of the team growing, and it was more of the Kid Flash himself just was like, no, and trying to impress Miss Martian, but at least there was some type of character involved with him to a point. That's also a dislike, and I'm going to cover later, but that's a lot that I like about the whole show. But yeah, Gray Mouse, what about you? What did you like about the whole show?
I really like the fact that they keep introducing more and more characters with each episode. This time we saw Abracadabra and the Witch Boy and Nabu and Kent, right? Or what was his name?
Nelson Kent.
Nelson Kent, yep.
So more. I really like that, and I really like how the Witch Boy is portrayed in this one. He's a little brat.
Not just a little brat, but a powerful one at that.
A powerful little brat.
Yep.
And
one other thing that I do want to mention is that they even mentioned a couple of weaknesses within two team members. While the lava pit was there, it was put out that Miss Martian was weak to that, and so was Aqualad.
Well, I mean, Aqualad's a no-brainer on that.
Yeah.
But I guess Martian would be too, more or less. But more on that later. What do you think, Reverend?
I might sound a little morbid in this, but I actually like that a character that they introduced died. All right. Now, I know this sounds really, really morbid, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it out like this, okay? First time I saw a character or anybody in animated form die on a cartoon or on TV was all the way back in 1984 with fucking Voltron, okay? I swear it was like the third episode.
Yeah.
It was before Sven disappeared, all right? And what happens is that, when the Roe Beast crashes down into the village, they're evacuating all the villagers and everything to the castle and all of that. And, the Roe Beast is stomping around, knocking down buildings and houses and everything. And he just reaches down, he scoops up a handful of villagers, and he throws them into his mouth, and he fucking eats them on TV. As a little kid, I was like, oh, it was pretty much that, oh, this shit just turned real moment, right? But that sort of thing kind of stuck with me, especially over like watching other cartoons. And notice I'm saying cartoons, all right, where people get shot and they don't die, all right? A lot of the Looney Tunes stuff, granted, that's slapstick to the up-teamed extreme level. But then you go ahead and you take that sort of sentiment and you sanitize it for stuff like G.I. Joe and Mask, where literally they're shooting off 500,000 rounds every fucking episode, but nobody dies. Every time something gets shot down, you see the eject and a fucking parachute coming out of the thing, right? Nobody fucking dies, okay? And what I took away with that for a long time was that, okay, if somebody dies in a fucking series, this is serious. This is not just stupid kid shit, all right? Mm-hmm. And it happens here on Young Justice episode 7 for Denial. Nelson Kent, he dies during the fight with Clary and the Witch Boy. And again, if it wasn't the tone and the writing and everything else that the series has brought so far, this one right here proves that it's like, this isn't just kid shit. Guess what? For the things that they do, there are consequences and there are risks that they have to sit there and take. And if things go bad, yes, one of them can die. And that was definitely one of the things that I absolutely loved about this particular episode. All right. I think that's pretty much what covers what we like so far, right? You have something on the theme? Go ahead.
Kid Flash doesn't fucking trip and fall on this episode. He doesn't trip and fucking fall. Okay.
He doesn't do it physically, but let's go ahead and let's continue on. He doesn't do it physically, all right? So now that we've covered what we like, let's go ahead and cover what we didn't like, or if we had a chance, now that we've seen this episode a few times, what might we change? Yeah. What might we change?
I understand that the show episode was called Denial, but fuck Wally. Damn. He went overboard with the denial. He was in denial all fucking episode. I can understand his point of, about things can be explained through science. But damn, you mean to tell me that after all of that, after all that the episode went through, he still doesn't believe in magic? I didn't understand that. I was just like, wait a second here. You got pocketed somewhere with Nelson Kent's magic fucking wand with his staff. And, you still got motherfuckers appearing out of nowhere and Abracadabra doing his stuff. Okay, Abracadabra stuff will explain, but still, he needed to tone that down just a bit as far as the denial.
What about you, Gravehouse? What didn't you like about this particular episode?
I pretty much liked the entire episode, but like I'll have to say the same thing with the Kid Flash. I'm really starting to get irritated with his character. Between tripping over his feet and just his. I think he's very, very, very childish. Probably the more childish out of the whole group, I think. I mean, Superboy is kind of childish, I guess, but there's a no. I'm not talking about like childish. I'm talking about his emotions, that he can't control his emotions too well.
Yeah, he's immature, but then again, he's only like 6 months old, really.
Man, you blew my point. That was the whole. Oh man. That's what I was going to say.
No.
Go ahead. Still expand on it.
What you're saying. But Kid Flash, wait, what you're saying is, what is the excuse for Kid Flash?
Yeah, there is no excuse. He's irritating to me now.
But look who his mentor is.
True. Absolutely true. And it fits. But if I were to really... I can't really come up with anything, to be honest with you. I mean, I kind of wish that the fight lasted a little longer, and I felt that maybe, of course, the young Justice had the key, but what kind of killed me is like, why do you leave the key in the door? Why don't you just fucking pull the key out and then the tower will disappear again? But and then those guys would never got in.
Yeah. Was there anything else, Grimhouse, before? All right. Just wanted to make sure that you covered your points well enough before I don't want to cut you off prematurely. Because I think I might have already done that. But I think here's the thing. The theme said, Kid Flash doesn't physically trip in this episode, but he does it mentally multiple times, okay? And it's because he's rushing headlong. It's not so much that he's immature, it's the fact that he goes to great lengths, many times unreasonable lengths, to sit there and try to impress people, all right?
You hit the word unreasonable lengths. Yeah,
unreasonable lengths to go out of his way and impress people. Because the thing is that, okay, when it comes to Miss Martian, okay, and getting her on her good side, he lays it on really thick, trying to hit on her, okay? But he does the same thing with like the other characters also. It's like, I'll go on ahead and scout. Well, we know that you're going to rush headlong into this, you're going to trip over something, and then you're going to expose the whole fucking group to everybody because you've done it in every other fucking episode, all right? Or something else is going to happen. He's very, very eager to go out of his way to sit there and show, I'm the first one to be there. I can go ahead and do things first, and I can get it done. And it's not really centered around. It's hardly ever at the point where it's centered around where it's like, okay, he's got good intentions, but he also wants to go out of his way and impress people. All right, maybe that's because being Wally West sucks ass for him, and he does his best, and he absolutely enjoys being able to wow people as Kid Flash. That might be part of it, but that particular part of it, I'd have to say it's the fact that it's really, really unreasonable. Okay, but then again, I'm gonna if I keep things in context, these are dumb teenagers that we're talking about, and also for the fact that I think with this particular one, going out of your way and illustrating that this is such an integral part of Kid Flash, Wally West, as a character, it actually serves a better purpose going into the whole of the season. All right, and I will admit, he's not the only character that these particular types of episodes occur with. We do end up seeing a little bit more, but that really does kind of bring us up to our third point. Unless there's anything else that anybody wants to point out right now?
Just one real quick, not a hate, but a like, since we've already went through that. I just want to make a real quick like that the team still accomplished their mission even without Robin there at this particular episode. Robin was nowhere to be seen. So kind of nice that they can function as a unit without one of their members being there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. And the thing is that if you think about it, as far as it goes, Robin would have fit right in where during going up the tower, nothing would have been an issue with him. Yeah. All right. He does so many mental gymnastics just by habit to be able to go ahead and catch up and cope with shit like that.
Oh yeah.
That it wouldn't have been an issue with him. So I do admire the fact that they realized that he wasn't just it's kind of plot appropriate that he was away for an episode, but it's just one of those things. All right.
The fact that they tied it back to him, going back to help Batman in Gotham. So that was kind of, they gave a purpose. Okay, we can't have Robin in this particular episode because he'll figure it out before any of the team. It's just the way he is.
Yeah.
And then they gave him the plot. There's enough plot there to take him away and actually become believable.
Yeah, it's completely believable.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, but let's go ahead and put that one aside. Let's talk about our third talking point that we talk in every review that we've done so far. What have we noticed this time around watching this episode out of the multiple times we've seen it that serves as a setup or a hint toward a future storyline arc or episode this time around? Go ahead, guys.
Dr. Fate. I mean, Clarion, the witch boy. That basically just set up everything. Wally took that helmet as a souvenir. That helmet is not just going to sit there because Naboo was like, look, I hate being here and not actually there. Mm-hmm. The world needs Dr. Fate. They pointed that out. And Kent Nelson was like, I'll stay here with you. Mm-hmm. Until you find the right candidate. Dr. Fate. Wow, yeah. Plus, a couple of things with a couple of couples thing. At the beginning, you had freaking Artemis and Miss Martian discussing on who they should ask out. You had Kent Nelson giving Wally advice at the end of the episode, find your own Spitfire. Damn well that's going to set some shit up for later.
Yep. What about you, Gray Mouse? What did you notice this time around that acts as a setup or a hint for something in the future?
Well, I was going to say what Theme just said, but you took it again. That's okay. One thing that we, the Witch Boy, he is going to be integral into the story thus far. We've already know that he is one of the light, but we don't know that at this particular point if we were just watching the episode. So now that he was after him and Abracadabra was after the helmet, makes things very interesting because it's like, okay, wait a minute, is the light after? Is it just the Witch Boy's being the Witch Boy? He just wants dominance over this realm, or is it that maybe the light is actually trying to get a hold of stuff and a hold of that helmet. So that's a setup, I think.
Yep. Was there anything else you wanted to cover, or is that pretty much the point that you want to stick with right now?
Sure.
Okay. All right. With this particular one, I gotta say that there are some things that they definitely went ahead and they hinted toward. That is, if this is your first time watching through, it's really kind of subtle. All right. But again, this episode, it originally aired out on February 2011, so it's almost 7 years old. I'm not going to throw a spoiler warning on it. All right. But it does hint very heavily on, guess what? This Clarion the Witch Boy, the Lord of Chaos, one of the Lords of Chaos, he's going to weigh heavily in with the Light, who's the main set of bad guys. The fact that Wally and Artemis are at each other's throats nonstop, okay? Almost to the point where, like, all right, some of this tension is not just angst and anger and fucking malice. You two need to get a room and finally fuck each other, okay? Get it over with. Walk out. You can feel dirty all you can. If you decide not to talk to each other, that's fine. But just get it over with, okay? Seriously. All right? And it kind of hints on that too. But one of the things that this really, really set up is that there is an episode coming up where Wally has to go out of his way, and he brings out the helmet again, and he's planning on putting it on to save the day. Okay? And it turns out that he's not the right guy to wear the helmet. Okay? So that is actually really, really key. The fact that Wally, like I said, as annoying as he is, as impulsive as he is, all right, the fact that he's going out of his way and he's holding souvenirs and trophies of everything, a lot of the callbacks actually go back from that exact same annoying fucking habit of his. All right, this is one of the reasons why on the last video I said that he's like the soul of the team. All right, there's a lot of stuff, whether or not it's connected directly or spelled out or explicit. It happens to trickle down because of certain things that Wally has done, throughout each and every episode. And as far as his character goes for this particular one, it looks like he's. It looks like he's not going to be the same hard-headed guy who sits there and sticks to one line, but then he goes after Miss Martian again at the end of the episode, and it's like, well, he's still Wally West. All right. I think that pretty much covers everything. Was there anything else that we wanted to point out about this particular episode, guys?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a good. Go ahead, Grey Mouse.
Superboy's feet went into that lava.
Yeah,
and it just dripped off his legs, and
he
made a remark about those were my favorite shoes.
He's like, those were my favorite boots.
And I was like,
about that.
I was like, damn, do we know his power, his full power? I mean, he just stuck his feet in the freaking lava ankle deep. Yep. At least ankle deep.
Well, yeah. I mean, he obviously reacted to it, but there's definitely a little bit of a revelation there. It's like, just in case you forgot, he is part Kryptonian. So, I mean, even if he's not as powerful as the Superman, he's definitely really, really powerful.
That was definitely a reminder that he is Kryptonian.
Yep. Then there was, even at the beginning of the episode, when he tripped up Aqualad and he threw him. And I like the way they actually showed how he did it, as far as placing the foot placement and actually throwing him. And he's like, Black Canary taught me that.
Yep.
And, that's what, as a whole, I know we need to wrap this up, but as a whole, watching the season up to the point that we're at now, it is all integrated and connected. That Black Canary line was way back in episode 3 or 4. So, I mean, as you're going through it, correct me if I'm wrong, I might be wrong, but it was a previous episode, 5, okay?
Yep.
But it was a previous episode, though. So, it's all connected. The way they're doing it is they're adding, and they're, like, reminding you other things as they go along. Like, hey, remember this part? Hey, remember this part? Hey, remember, and I love that.
Actually, that'll bring us to our fourth point, because the one that I introduced with the last video. Okay, on a scale of yay, nay, or meh, what would you rate this particular episode, Grey Mouse?
Yay! 2 thumbs up.
Okay. What about you, Theme?
Could there be more? Hell yay! I mean, this episode did a lot, but even with the minor annoyances, it was still a great episode all the way around.
Yep.
Yeah. I gotta say yay on this one. This really kind of illustrates why people gravitated toward this particular season, or excuse me, this particular series as quickly as they did, and why it grabbed such a huge, wide array. Okay, the number of adults and female viewers that were actually tuning into Cartoon Network just to catch this particular series was off the fucking charts. Okay, and the ratings went ahead and they reflected that, which of course wasn't exactly in the plan of the folks at Cartoon Network. Well, that's a tangent that we'll probably touch at a later time. But I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap up this particular episode right here. All right. If you're somebody who's been following us through these particular reviews, or if you've seen this particular episode, we'd like to know what you think. We'd like to know what you think about our reviews. Are we off base? Is there something that we've missed? We'd definitely like to hear about that. You can let us know by tapping comment and leaving a comment below. All right. While you're at it, hit that like button. And if you like what you happen to see here and you want to stick around, feel free to subscribe to us. All right. We'd really appreciate that. But with all of that said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this particular episode up. That's our review for Season 1, Episode 7, Denial, which originally aired out on February 18th, 2011. And that's where we're going to leave it. I'm the Reverend.
The Theme here.
And I'm Grey Mouse 1.
All forms of entertainment has the right to exist, even if you don't like it. And we sure do like some Young Justice. Credits.